Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie, and this is the Headlines and Tidbits podcast. Each episode in Headlines and Tidbits is divided into two parts. In the first part of the episode, I will introduce you to some unique, weird, scary, crazy headlines that I have found, and then tell you the story about the people or incidents behind the headline. In the second part of the episode, I will read you tidbits that I have found in newspapers of the past. These could include divorce notices, which could be a little scandalous at times, articles that are interesting, advertisements, or really just any small interesting tidbit that I found in a newspaper. So let's get started with today's headline. The headline comes from the Denver Post and is dated July 20th, 1921, and it reads, "City doctors dodge care of mystery girl." So this grabbed my attention for multiple reasons. One, the words mystery girl, and then doctors dodging caring for her. It just seemed a little fishy, I guess you could say. So let's figure out who this mystery girl is. On Monday, July 11th, 1921, David Morgan, a man who lived in Denver, he found a girl wandering the streets in downtown Denver near the Federal Custom Building. David said she appeared dazed and lost, so he confronted her and asked her if she needed some help. When he asked her if she was okay, she just mumbled incoherently, but he was able to get her to tell him that her name was Helen Reed and that she was from Montana. She said her mother's last name was Hester, but she didn't know anything else. So, spoiler alert, she is not Helen Reed, but we'll get to all of that later. So David, who honestly seemed like a pretty great guy, was concerned about her and took her to a rooming house so she would be safe and have a place to stay. But the next day, on Tuesday, July 12th, this girl was found unconscious in a chair in the lobby of the Federal Custom Building. So someone decided to call the authorities and she was taken away to the county hospital. She was pretty much unconscious her first day in the hospital, but the next day, so that's Wednesday, July 13th, she started muttering under her breath to the hospital staff. She was still pretty incoherent, but when the doctors would ask her what her name was, she refused to tell them. So the doctors reported that she didn't have any bruises or marks on her. They said that her clothes looked like they were expensive clothing. She was said to be really pretty and appeared to be about 19 or 20. She had brown hair, hazel eyes, and they described her hands as being well manicured and soft. Apparently, she was wearing a blue silk dress. She had a small scarlet turban, black silk stockings, and black pumps on the day that she was brought to the hospital. She also had on a gold watch and a leather handbag with $26 in it, but no identification. The only thing that gave any sort of clue was a handkerchief she had, and on it was embroidered the letter L. So also in her handbag was a paper-bound copy of a book issued by the YMCA to oversee workers, and it was called Emergency Rations. And there was another book in there in her bag called Army and Navy Edition of the Proverbs. The paper said that she had, quote, toilet articles and lingerie of good quality made up the balance of the bag's contents. However, the doctors, they did eventually get her to start telling them her story. And the Denver Post, they somehow got a transcript of this story and reported it in their paper. And here's the conversation. So she started out by saying, "They stole me." And the doctor asked, "Who?" And she said, "That man, a tall man and a woman. The woman has red hair. She wears glasses." "Well, who are they?" I don't know. I can't remember," she said. "They put me in an automobile. Then we were on a train. They put something around my head and face. I went to sleep. I slept. Oh, for days, I think. They kept giving me something bad to drink. Once in a while, I could hear them talking. The man said they were going to kill me." Here, the girl broke off her story with a shudder. She rolled her head about on the pillow, a look of fear in her eyes. "The doctors told me they are in jail, that they won't hurt me. Are you sure they can't get me?" So then she went on to explain her story a little bit more. She said, quote, "The man had a niece who looks just like me. This man and the woman with red hair, she was his wife. I think we're to inherit a lot of money if this girl who looks like me died. They were going to kill me and make people think it was the other girl that was dead and get the money. They were going to keep the other girl hidden, always. They weren't going to kill her. They went away while they thought I was asleep, with that thing tied around my head and face. But I wasn't. I got up, I got away. Then they started after me. I went into a great big building. The Internal Revenue Office? I don't know what it was. I never saw the building before. My name?" The girl paused again. "It's all black up here," she explained. "I can't remember. Hurt? No, it doesn't hurt. Helen Reed? No, I don't think that's my name. Montana? No, I don't think I live there. I remember big buildings, great big buildings, brown buildings, lots of teachers there. Was I going to that school? I guess so. Am I married? She hesitated again for many moments. I don't know, she sighed at last. I don't think I'm married. My mother is alive. Oh, I want her. Tears trickled from the corners of the girl's eyes. My father? I think he is alive. I have a brother. Do you live in Denver? She was asked. Is this Denver? No, I was never in Denver. I've read about it in books, though. Those people that stole me, I saw the man once or twice before. I think I knew him, but I can't remember his name. Have a sweetheart? I don't know. Are you going to put my picture in the paper? Oh, they'll kill me if they see it, those people. So that is the story that she told the hospital staff. And the newspaper, they actually went on to interview David, who found her wandering around and got her the hotel room. And they asked him where he met her. And he said that he met her at 26 in Arapahoe Street 3 days prior. And he said that he could just tell that she seemed dazed and lost. And that was why he got her a room. I guess she told him the same story that she had told the hospital staff, about being drugged and kidnapped. But she told him, according to him, that her name was Helen Reed and that she lived in Montana. The hospital staff, they actually brought David up to the mystery girl's room and asked her if she recognized him. And she immediately said, no, I never saw this man before. So I want to talk really briefly about who Helen Reed is. Helen Reed is an actual person at this time, and she was a well-known piano player who went missing from Montana around the same time that our mystery girl showed up in Denver. So, I can see that connection there, but the authorities, they were connecting her to Helen Reed because obviously she told David, the man who helped her, that she was Helen Reed, at least according to David. And also, once the mystery girl's photo was put in the newspaper, a woman called in and said that she resembled Helen Reed. However, whenever the doctors would ask if she was Helen, she would just respond with, I don't know. Another theory that popped up was that she might be a woman named Leona Reed from Texas, which I think that's kind of crazy because Helen Reed, Leona Reed, same last name, kind of weird. But they came up with this theory when a David Milne, which again, that's kind of crazy because here's another David. But anyways, this David, he called the police and said he saw the girl's picture in the newspaper and recognized her. He said he rode the train with her from Texas to Denver, and she said her name was Leona Reed, and she was a schoolteacher. He did say, though, that she seemed confused a lot of the time, and he said that when they got to Denver, they went to the movies together a couple of times, but after that, they went their separate ways. He did say, though, that he knew she was staying at the Columbia Hotel. Really, other than that, didn't have a whole lot of information. A couple of days after this mystery girl had been in the hospital, he did come and drop off a bag of plums and oranges for her at the hospital. So, that's kind of nice, I guess. But just like before, when the doctors would ask her if her name was Leona, she would respond with, I don't know. So interestingly, though, the authorities, they were aware of a Leona Reed from Texas who had not been seen since July 4th. So this is an interesting theory for them to keep in mind. Now, on Thursday, July 14th, the doctors administered an ether test to the mystery girl in hopes that it would help her regain her memory and speak the truth, basically. So an ether test is pretty much a truth test. And the doctors told her, quote, "You'll tell everything you know, whether you want to or not." And she was apparently ready to take the test and figure out what happened to her because she responded with, quote, "All right, if it will help me find my mother." But this test, it resulted in no new clues, no helpful information. The girl would apparently only repeat fragments of what she had already told the doctors. However, the doctors did say that this proved the girl was not faking her memory loss and she was truly confused and experiencing some type of memory loss. The doctors said, quote, "She displays all the symptoms of a complete and profound hysteria, brought on probably by some great mental shock." The hospital attendants were sure that she was a victim of foul play. Apparently, they were inspecting her shoes and found that part of the label inside of her shoe had been cut out, and the part of the label that they could read said the Murphy Taylor Shoe Company. But the city that the shoe was manufactured or sold in was ripped out, and so they thought that this was really suspicious and felt that this was done because someone was trying to hide her identity. Kind of interesting. I mean, shoes do get tattered after a while, but anyways, 2 days later, on Saturday, July 16th, authorities and hospital staff thought they finally figured out who the mystery girl was. A man named W.L. Hester from Boulder, Colorado, called the hospital and said that he saw the girl's photo in the paper and is certain that she is his niece, Selena Williams from El Paso, Texas. When Mr. Hester and his wife walked into the mystery girl's hospital room, her eyes apparently lit up and she asked, where is my mother? So the doctors took this as the girl knew Mr. and Mrs. Hester because she immediately responded to them with a question and her eyes lit up. But when the authorities spoke with Mr. Hester, he told them that he had not seen his niece in 4 years, but he felt like the girl resembled her, and he knew that his niece had been missing from her home in Texas for quite a while. So the Hesters would ask her questions like, how is your cousin Joe? Or did your grandma make you that scarf? And the mystery girl would apparently just give one-word answers, but could not really elaborate on anything specifically. In fact, the doctors at this time noted that she would pretty much agree with any statement. If someone asked her about a specific occupation, she would say yes, that's what she did, then agree to the next occupation. And she would affirm different names to be hers. So basically, she really wasn't sure of much and would just agree to anything. The doctor said that she would sing while she was in bed and asked if she could get dressed in her dresses to go and sing for the other patients. They weren't really sure what to think of this, but apparently though, she did receive numerous gifts while in the hospital from complete strangers. Her story was in newspapers across the country, and I think people just took pity on her, especially the people of Denver. And she was receiving flowers and small gifts, fruit, stuff like that. So the doctors claimed that she would remain in the hospital until her identity could be confirmed. And on July 17th, the hospital received word from Selena Williams' grandmother in Texas that she had come home and was not the mystery girl in Colorado. So remember, that is who the couple from Boulder, Colorado, thought that this mystery girl was Selena Williams. But turns out that she was in Texas and was not missing. So that was kind of the authorities and the hospital staff. That was kind of their big theory that they were betting on. And after this, it kind of deflated everybody. And they actually ended up moving her to the quote, insane ward, their words, not mine, in hopes that if she was lying to them, the stress of being there would break her. They even threatened to bob her hair, so cut her hair really short if she didn't start telling the truth. And apparently she hated it there. Nurses said that she would clasp her hands over her ears to try and drown out the screams and cries from the other patients. And they also would not allow anyone to visit her at this time. So she was starting to feel a little isolated, I guess you could say. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Hester, the couple who thought the girl was their niece, they hated the idea that she was placed in the insane ward. And they asked if they could actually take her to their home and help her recover in a quiet and peaceful environment. Of course, the hospital and the authorities said no to this, but that just tells you that the Hesters, they must have grown pretty fond of this girl to offer that. On July 20th, which was 1 week since she had been admitted to the hospital, she was actually moved out of the insane ward, primarily because the doctors were struggling to figure out what doctor was responsible for her. So her care at the hospital had been lacking, and it was brought to the attention of the hospital administrators, which is kind of scary because it sounds like they put her in the insane ward of the hospital and then just kind of forgot about her. So this, honestly, it started a long, drawn-out argument between doctors trying to figure out who was responsible for her. The Denver Post reported on this and stated, quote, "The Post proposes to make it its special concern to see that she is given the treatment her condition warrants, and that the city and hospital authorities expend every effort to determine who she is, whence she came from, and just what caused the collapse that precipitated her present predicament." And the hospital attendants, they actually told the Denver Post that Dr. C.S. Blumel was assigned to the mystery girl. But Dr. Blumel completely denied this and said that she was actually under the care of Dr. Pershing. Now, the chief resident at the hospital said that Dr. Blumel was actually in charge of the girl. He said that he had been treating her, he had been evaluating her, and lined out a treatment for her. And the chief said that Dr. Blumel was even the one who placed her in the insane ward. So then another doctor came forward and said that he was actually the one who ordered her placed in the insane ward, not Dr. Blumel. Regardless of all this back and forth, the mystery girl was ordered to leave the insane ward and get lots of rest. But she was still in the hospital. So on July 21st, all of this changed when the mystery girl finally admitted that her name was Constance Lee Phillips of Roston, Texas. And this all came about because the hospital received a call from W.H. Bruce, the president of the North Texas Normal School in Denton, Texas. And so just a brief history on normal colleges. They were comprised of teachers and prospective teachers. So basically it was a teacher college. So Bruce, the president of the college, he actually saw Connie's picture in the newspaper and immediately recognized her. He called the hospital and told them that he knew who she was. He said she left the college on July 6th to return home, but never arrived home. Now, the way he knew that Connie was the girl in the picture was he recognized her 2 front teeth. He described them as being small, like, quote, mouse teeth. And there is even a picture of her, quote, mouth teeth in the Denver Post, which I'll post on social media. So the college president told the authorities in Denver that Connie's mother also confirmed that this was her daughter and that she had never returned home. So once the mystery girl was presented with all of this story and evidence, she admitted that she was in fact Connie Lee Phillips. So Constance was her real name, but she went by Connie. And she told the authorities that she woke up 3 days ago in the hospital and remembered everything, but was too scared to say anything. She said she didn't know if she could trust the nurses, even though they had been nice to her. But according to her, the couple who kidnapped her was nice to her at first. So basically, she was just too scared to say anything. Now, just a reminder on dates here. She entered the hospital on July 12th, remembered who she was on Tuesday, July 20th, but didn't say anything, and then admitted her identity on Friday, July 22nd. So once she admitted who she was, she started to tell her story. She said that she was kidnapped by a man and a woman from Denton, Texas, and she said the woman had red hair. Connie told the police that she was 18 and had been teaching school since she was 16, and she was working towards getting her teaching degree. Authorities asked her how she met the couple, and she said they were on the college campus walking around and approached her. The man's name was Charlie Medley, and Charlie told her that he was the superintendent of schools in Grayson, Texas. And when he told her about the schools there and that they would like to offer her a job, she was interested and decided to go with them to check out the schools in Grayson, Texas. Connie told authorities that Grayson was only 50 miles away, and that's how she knew something was wrong. She said she knew that they had gone too far and had passed Grayson. So Connie started questioning the couple. She was asking them questions like, where are we going? What is going on? But the couple would just ignore her. So then Connie got persistent and she started getting upset. And so the couple put a cloth around her head and made her drink some type of a bitter drink. And Connie said that after drinking that, she started getting really sleepy and kept dozing off. But she said she would wake up every once in a while in the back seat of the car and would listen to their conversation. Connie said they were talking about how she really looked like a niece of theirs who was an heiress and had a lot of money. So their plan was to murder Connie and pass her off as the niece. Apparently, she was going in and out of consciousness, and at one point she woke up and realized that she was by herself in the car. So she grabbed her suitcases and took off. And she actually ended up walking to Wichita Falls, Texas, which was the closest town. So she said when she got to Wichita Falls, she was still feeling the effects from the drugs when she walked into the train station and boarded a train for Denver. The authorities asked why she chose Denver, and she said she doesn't really know why. She knew no one in Denver, but just knew that she wanted to get as far away as possible. Connie said that when she got off the train in Denver, she remembers checking into a hotel, but she's not sure what name she used. After that, she said she became dazed again and didn't remember anything until Tuesday morning. So basically, she knew who she was for 3 days, but pretended not to know. She was still scared and told the authorities that she just knew the man and woman would walk through the door any minute. She was so scared that she told them she would rather be put in jail rather than released. She apologized to the staff at the hospital and said she knew that they were frustrated with her. Then the police asked Connie to describe the woman and the man, and here is what she said. The woman is of average height and weight, not exactly pretty, but stylish. Her hair of a brilliant red and slightly wavy. She was dressed high. She wore a dark blue tailored suit and a medium large dark hat. She wore nose glasses attached to the hair by a gold chain and pin. She used makeup excessively. She then went on to describe the man as, quote, tall and dark and about 30 years old. He wore a dark suit and straw hat. She also added he would excessively shake his head when he was talking. The Texas sheriffs asked the hospital to hold Connie until they could get there to verify her identity and ultimately take her home. And her mother was planning on coming to Denver as well to pick her up. So let's talk a little bit about who Connie was. Connie was born Constance Lee Phillips, and she was born in Texas on September 4th, 1902, to John Samuel Phillips and Louisa E. Rice. Connie's father passed away when she was only 2 years old, but her mother did remarry a couple of years later. Connie grew up in Austin, Texas with her 7 siblings and eventually went to North Texas Normal College. She said she didn't really get along with her stepfather, which is why she left home so early to go to college. Now, the authorities, they continued to question Connie, and I don't think that they truly believed her story because they continued to press her on why she signed into the Columbia Hotel under the name Leona Reed. They were really concerned about this because they were starting to believe that the actual Leona Reed had been kidnapped from Texas. And Connie said she doesn't even remember signing into the hotel and has no idea why she would use that name. The police asked her if maybe she ran into Leona on her way to Denver, but she insisted that she was not sure because of her memory loss. So did she know her, or did she just hear about how Leona was missing? But why would she use that name? It's just really strange. So the police also questioned her if she had any boyfriends who may have put her in this situation or maybe broke her heart and she decided to just take off. But she denied this and said she was not dating anyone seriously. They also asked her if maybe she had been partying a lot right before this incident happened, and she denied this as well, saying that she didn't really like to party like other girls her age. She instead loved spending time in the library reading literature. Connie told the authorities that she inherited this hobby from her father, who was a professor, a writer, and just somebody who loved to read. So the Texas authorities spoke to Connie's mother, Lula, and her older sister, who said that they believed that she was in fact kidnapped. However, they thought that she was kidnapped because she had a lot of money on her when she was leaving college. They didn't really believe the story about the kidnappers taking her because she looked like their niece, especially considering the police had interviewed numerous people at the college and no one remembers seeing the couple. However, Connie's mother had another reason why she believed Connie was kidnapped by the couple. Connie had written her mother 2 letters describing the couple and their job offer a week or 2 before she left for Grayson, Texas. And so in this letter, she basically was just telling her how she'd met these people and they were offering her a job and she was kind of interested. And she wrote this letter to her mom on June 29th. Then on July 6th, Connie wrote to her mother again, stating that she has agreed to take the job and is going to Grayson, Texas to check out the school. But one odd thing about this is that Connie's roommate, Sarah, she had no idea that Connie had met this couple or that she was leaving with them, maybe even considering a new job. So I thought that was a little strange, but then again, they're roommates. That doesn't mean that they're really close and tell each other everything. So on July 25th, Sheriff Tom Ford, with his big Texas hat, arrived in Denver to take Connie home. When Sheriff Ford saw Connie, he said, quote, "Well, Connie, I'd have known you anywhere. How do you feel?" And Connie simply replied, "Hello." It turns out that Sheriff Ford was actually a family friend of Connie's family and had known her since she was a kid. So this also pretty much eliminates Connie being Leona Reed because Ford immediately recognized her. She asked the sheriff if her mother came with him, and he said that she was too upset to make the trip. So the sheriff and Connie left Denver on the next train, and Connie officially made it home to her mother on July 27th, 1921. So I want to pause really quick and go back to Leona Reed, because on July 27th, 1921, the El Paso Herald newspaper received a letter from Leona Reed's mother, and she demanded that the papers stop reporting that the Denver mystery girl was her daughter, Leona Reed. She said, while they used to live in El Paso, they now live in California, and Leona is there and accounted for. So I just wanted to touch on that because that kind of closes that mystery. However, I'm still not sure why Connie used that name at the hotel. Really strange. After this incident with Connie, the newspapers started reporting that they were shocked how many young girls across the country were missing. When it was first reported that there was a mystery girl in Denver, the authorities were flooded with letters from parents asking if the mystery girl resembled their daughter. And again, the authorities, they were just shocked at how many girls seemed to be missing. Going back to Connie, the mystery behind her disappearance was actually never solved. They never found the mysterious couple, and Connie truly never seemed to stray from her story. So lots of questions of what actually happened, but I guess at least she was okay and made it home. So Connie would go on to marry Frank Hoover on October 4th, 1927 in Oklahoma. The couple moved to Oklahoma and had 3 children. The couple seemed to live a pretty quiet life. I couldn't really find much on them in the newspapers. Connie's mother, Lula, she passed away in 1946 at the age of 72. And I guess she was walking down the street and collapsed and passed away from cardiac failure. Frank, Connie's husband, he passed away in 1895 at the age of 85, and Connie, she passed away in 1986 at the age of 86. So I would like to close this first part of the episode with a quote I found from Connie. This was one of her responses when she was being questioned in the Denver hospital. She said, "I couldn't have told where I was to save my life. It may be that way when we die and wake up in the other world." And that concludes the story of the Denver Mystery Girl, aka Connie Lee Phillips. So now for the tidbits portion of the episode, I want to start with a marriage/divorce announcement that was in the Beatrice Daily Express in Nebraska in 1922. And the headline reads, "Married Friday, has fight, and then divorce." South Bend, Indiana, November 2nd. Floyd Talmadge married last Friday. His bride, Loretta, beat him up a few hours later. He swore, and he was given a divorce Tuesday. That's crazy. I just love these divorce announcements in the newspapers. It's like a gossip column for back then. So the next tidbit, it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess you could say an ad. And it says, it's not really an ad. I don't know what it is, but it says bootleg and then in quotes, milk, new wrinkle. And so it has a picture of, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'll have this picture up. It has a picture of a man and a woman, and the man is holding a glass with he has this really cheesy grin on his face. And a woman is pouring what looks to be milk into his glass. However, it's not milk, it's actually moonshine. So the couple is from Los Angeles, California, and they are shown in the photo demonstrating how brown liquor can pour from a bottle of apparently white milk. And it says, an ingenious soul painted the inside of a milk bottle with white waterproof paint in an attempt to evade the law. To outward appearances, it is nothing more than a bottle of milk, and the possessor could pose as a dutiful husband taking home the groceries. And I'll post this on social media so that you can take a look at it. And the last tidbit for today is an ad from 1949, and it's for the product Roman Cleanser, which whitens clothes safely. And this had to have been an ad for maybe when kids are going back to school, because it says, rules for school. Send children to school clean. Use Roman Cleanser to whiten dingy blouses, dresses, anklets. Keep lunchbox sanitary sweet. Deodorizes thermos. Add a little Roman Cleanser to rinsing water. Remove ink from clothes, hands. Roman Cleanser label tells how it is also a good ink eradicator. Combat germs. Disinfect hankies, undies, etc. with Roman Cleanser. When children are ill, keep them home. Avoid spreading sickness. Use Roman Cleanser to disinfect sick room, dishes, utensils, bedding. That is our last tidbit for the day. Stay germ-free is the message, I guess. So I hope that you enjoyed exploring these headlines and tidbits with me, and I hope you come back to listen to more stories from newspapers of the past. See you next time.